This is the story of a man who had everything, except the one thing he secretly wanted most. A paralyzed billionaire who lost faith in people until two little girls walked into his life, looked him in the eye, and said, "We can help you walk." The ballroom was all crystal and ego, laughter echoing off vaulted ceilings, gowns sweeping across polished marble. A string quartet played something forgettable, but elegant. Cameras flashed, and William Alcott sat in the corner, unnoticed by design. That his wheelchair was custom, carbon fiber, whisper choir. It glided as smoothly as his company's stock value. But tonight, he wasn't gliding anywhere. He was parked, anchored in a sea of social obligation, staring at a half-empty glass of bourbon. Charity events were a performance. He wrote the check because he had to, not because he cared to be paraded as a benefactor. He'd built Alcott Technologies from the ground up, coding with blistered fingers, while doctors told his parents he'd never walk, never run, never even feel the floor beneath him. They were right. 45 years later, he still hadn't taken a step. "You're hard to miss, Mr. Alcott," came a voice to his right. He turned. Nora Lennox, the director of the Children's Path Foundation, wore her trademark tailored red suit and relentless optimism. She extended a hand he didn't take. "Ms. Lennox, I wanted to thank you personally," she said. "Your donation this year was ... remarkable." "It's a write-off," he said flatly, eyes returning to the dance floor. "No need to dress it up." She paused, smiled tightly. "Well, it still changes lives. Glad to hear it. I'd like you to meet a few of the kids," she said, her tone already moving past pleasantries. "There are some unique cases I think you might find interesting. I don't do small talk or children. You might make an exception," she said, already walking away. Will sighed and followed, if only out of boredom. His chair moved silently over the marble, drawing glances he ignored. She led him toward a partitioned section where a group of children played under hanging stars and a cheap balloon arch. Most were running around, high on sugar and excitement. But in the far corner, two girls sat perfectly still, identical. No movement, no smiles, just watching. "Twins?" he asked. "Yes, Eva and Lily, 6 years old. They've been with us for a few months." They wore faded sweaters over ill-fitting dresses. No party shoes, no sparkles, just quiet presence and unblinking, amber eyes. "They don't talk much," Nora added. That the girls stood at once, synchronized. No cue, no whisper between them, just a fluid, practiced motion. Then they walked toward him. Will straightened in his chair, unsure why. One of them stopped a few feet from him. The other mirrored her position. "Hello," he said. It came out awkward, almost uncertain. "You're broken," one of them said, her voice clear but soft. "Not just here," the other added, pointing at his legs. "In here too." She tapped her chest. Will blinked. "Excuse me." The girls looked at each other. Then one leaned in and whispered, "We can fix it." He stared at them. A beat passed. Then he gave a short, sharp laugh. "I've been paralyzed since birth. You think you can fix that?" They didn't flinch, didn't look away. "We know we can," said the first. Before he could ask another question, Nora stepped between them, her smile turning brittle. "All right, girls, that's enough. Go back to the others." They obeyed, walking away with eerie grace, never looking back. Will stared after them, unsettled in a way he couldn't explain. "What's their story?" he asked. Nora hesitated. "Their mother passed away 3 years ago. No known family. They've been moved around a lot." "How many homes?" 7. He frowned. "In 3 years, families say. The girls are strange. They say things no one could know. Some think they're just deeply intuitive. Others think it's something else." Will didn't believe in intuition, or magic, or energy fields. He believed in logic, science, numbers, but he couldn't shake the way they had looked at him, the way they had spoken. That night, he left early and didn't sleep. The city lights smeared across his windshield like a half-forgotten dream. Seattle's skyline flickered through fog and drizzle, but Will Alcott wasn't seeing it. He was seeing 2 pairs of amber eyes, hearing soft voices saying things they shouldn't know. "You're broken, not just here, ... in here." He pulled into the underground garage beneath his home, a steel and glass fortress perched on a hill above Puget Sound. As the elevator hummed up to the main floor, silence wrapped around him, the kind of silence that made a man feel very, very alone. That Night. Sleep didn't come, neither did answers. By morning, his assistant, Lydia, found him at his desk, still in the suit from the night before. "You look like you've been through a war," she said, setting coffee beside him. "Find out everything you can about two girls, twins, Eva and Lily. They were at the Children's Path Gala." Lydia raised an eyebrow. "Why? Just do it." He didn't explain. Couldn't. How did you explain a pair of strangers looking through your skin and into the parts he didn't even admit were broken? By noon, she returned with a file, slim and unsettling. "Twins," she confirmed. "Eva and Lily Bell, 6 years old. Mother died of pneumonia 3 years ago. No known father, no relatives. They've bounced through foster care like it's musical chairs." Will flipped through the report. Photos, medical records, school notes, handwritten concerns from foster families. They whispered to each other constantly. "They stare like they know what you're thinking. They said things about my sister, things I never told anyone." One note chilled him. They said, "My husband wasn't really sick, that he just didn't believe he could get better. He died 3 months later." Will closed the folder. "I want to meet them." Lydia stared. "Will, they're children. You don't do children." "I didn't think I did either." 2 days later, he sat stiffly in the muted lobby of a small non-profit foster agency. Neutral-toned walls, faded posters, the faint smell of crayons. Nora Lennox greeted him with practiced calm. "This is highly unusual. I'm not here to adopt anyone," Will said. "Not yet. I just want to talk. Mr. Alcott, you understand, they're not showpieces. They've been through trauma. They don't trust easily." "I'm not asking for trust." A pause. "They asked if you'd come," Nora said quietly. "Said they'd already seen it." Will blinked. "Seen it? In a dream?" "He didn't," replied. When the twins entered the room, they looked exactly the same as before. Same worn sweaters, same unreadable expressions. But something about the way they moved felt ... rehearsed. Like dancers or soldiers or prophets. Eva sat. Lily mirrored her. No one spoke. "You said something to me the other night," Will finally began. "You said you could help me." Lily nodded. "We can." "How?" "You stopped believing," Eva said simply. "Your body listened." Will scoffed. "That's not how science works. Science only sees part of it," Lily replied. He opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. The girls leaned forward in unison. "Do you want to feel again?" Eva asked. He didn't answer, not out loud, but they smiled like they'd heard the yes anyway. Will sat in his car long after the agent. Doors closed behind him, the engine idle, fingers clenched around the steering wheel. He wasn't a man prone to fantasy. His life had been built on hard data, quarterly reports, and cutting-edge tech. But the twins hadn't blinked when they told him his body had simply listened to his disbelief. They hadn't pitched a miracle. They spoke as if what they said was fact, and that scared him more than he expected. Back at the house, the rain returned, slow, steady, tapping like fingers against the tall glass windows of his office. Lydia found him staring at the girl's file again. "You going to tell me what this is really about?" she asked. Will didn't look up. "They said they could help me walk." A pause. "And you believed them?" "No," he said. Then, after a beat, "I wanted to." He closed the file and exhaled like it hurt. "I want them to visit the house, you mean? Like an official placement?" "No, just a visit, a trial day. See how they respond. See if they were just playing some weird game." Lydia hesitated. "You don't do impulsive." "I've spent 45 years being cautious. Look where that got me." 3 days later, a black town car pulled into the circular drive of Alcott's modernist mansion. Nora stepped out first, opening the rear door. The twins emerged like they'd seen the place before. They looked up at the glass and steel structure, without awe, only recognition. "This is it," Eva whispered. "Told you it'd look like the dream," Lily replied. Will watched from the entryway, his throat dry. His chair hummed forward automatically, the twin girls approaching without hesitation. "You've been here before?" he asked. "In our sleep," Eva said. "Your bedroom's upstairs," Lily added, pointing toward a space she'd never seen. "You take the elevator when your arms get tired." Will felt the chill again, not cold, something deeper, a shiver, under the skin of reality. Inside, the girls walked through the house like they were retracing steps. In the kitchen, they named the pantry items before Lydia even opened the door. In the sunroom, they stood quietly, saying nothing. "This place feels sad," Eva said. Will's jaw tightened. "It's a house. It remembers." Lily whispered. After lunch, the three sat in the living room. Will asked them again, "What exactly do you think you can do for me?" "We don't think," Eva replied. "We know," Lily finished. Will leaned forward. "I've seen the best doctors in the world. I was born with spinal cord damage. It's not a question of attitude. It's a physical impossibility. No one's ever tried what we do," Eva said softly, "because they don't believe they can." Lily added, "But you're starting to." Will didn't realize how tightly he was gripping the armrests until his fingers ached. The girls watched him with perfect calm. "You want to try?" Eva asked. Will didn't answer, but he didn't say no either. That night, the house didn't feel like his own. Will lay in bed long after midnight, staring at the ceiling as the storm outside deepened. Lightning flashed through the window, casting sharp shadows across the high walls. He hadn't invited anyone into his space in years. Not really, not like this. And now two little girls were sleeping in the guest room across the hall. Twins who claimed they could help him do what no doctor ever could. Walk. Madness, he told himself. Wishful thinking, but still he didn't sleep. At 3:07 a.m., his bedroom door creaked open. The twins stood there in matching pajamas, oversized, probably from a donation bin, barefoot on the hardwood floor. They didn't speak. Will sat up, in bed, voice dry. "Everything okay?" "We heard you thinking," Eva said. "You're afraid to hope," Lily added. He didn't respond. "Not immediately." "Come in," he said at last, nodding toward the side chairs. But they didn't go to the chairs. They walked straight to the foot of the bed and sat on the floor, facing him. "We don't need to touch you," Eva said, as if reading his mind. "Not yet. We just want to show you how it starts," Lily whispered. Will's chest tightened. "And how does it start?" "By remembering what your body forgot, which is that it's listening." The silence in the room felt heavy, electric. Eva closed her eyes. Lily followed. They both took deep breaths, in perfect sync. Their small hands rested lightly on their knees. Will watched, saying nothing. Then he felt it, a pulse, not pain, not pressure, but presence. A flicker, like static behind his knees. Then, something else. His toes. Not fully, not clearly, but a tingling buzz, like pinzan needles crawling up from the edge of nothing. He froze. "What is that?" he asked. Neither girl opened her eyes. "You're waking up," Lily said calmly. He pulled the blanket back and stared at his feet. They looked the same as always, pale, motionless, but they weren't numb. He reached down with trembling hands, touched his ankle, then his calf. He could feel it. "I can feel my leg," he whispered. The girls opened their eyes. "It's only the beginning," Eva said. Will stared at them, a mix of terror and awe in his voice. "What did you do?" "Nothing," they said together. "You did it." The next morning, Will didn't tell Lydia what had happened. He didn't call Dr. Patel, his neurologist. He didn't explain why his hands trembled when he held his coffee mug, or why his voice caught when he answered emails. He just replayed that moment over and over in his head. By noon, he asked the girls to come back into his office. He locked the door behind them. "Do it again," he said. Eva smiled. "We didn't do it the first time." "Then sit down," he said, "and help me remember again." The second time, they didn't need darkness. They sat across from him on the thick rug, in his study, cross-legged and calm. Will leaned forward in his wheelchair, watching them like a man watching a fuse burn toward a bomb. "No touching," he said. "Right," Eva nodded. "Your body already remembers," Lily added. "We're just reminding it." They closed their eyes. So did he. And then it was there again. A hum, a tremor deep inside him. Not in his ears, not on his skin, but inside. Like something long silent was clearing its throat. Then heat, slow and low, crawling up from his feet, across the soles, up the Achilles tendon. Like warmth spreading from inside bone. He gasped, opened his eyes. The girls hadn't moved. "It's stronger," he whispered. Eva opened one eye, smiled faintly. "You're listening better." After they left the room, he sat for an hour, staring at his legs. Still no movement, but sensation, clear, undeniable, and growing. By the next morning, it hadn't faded. If anything, it had intensified. His legs tingled as if life was pacing just beneath the surface. Waiting. He finally called Dr. Patel. "I need a full scan," he said. Today, the tests took hours. MRI, nerve conduction, reflex assessments. The technician kept frowning at the screen. So did the second one. By afternoon, Dr. Patel appeared in Will's exam room, holding a tablet and wearing an expression he rarely used: confusion. "William," he said carefully, "there are new readings in the lumbar region. Mild nerve activity. Reflexes that were previously absent are now partially present." Will just stared at him. "This shouldn't be possible," the doctor went on. "You were born with a complete lesion, no lower body function, no response in 45 years. Nothing in the literature supports this kind of spontaneous." "It's not spontaneous," Will said quietly. Dr. Patel paused. "Then what is it?" Will didn't answer, because what could he possibly say? Two orphaned 6-year-olds are my nervous system with their minds. That night, he watched the twins sleep. They had taken over the guest room like they'd lived there forever. Drawings covered the wall. Soft music played from a tiny speaker. He stood in the doorway longer than he meant to. "Can you feel your toes?" Lily murmured without opening her eyes. "Yes," he said. "Good," said Eva. Will leaned against the doorframe, unsure how to ask the question in his chest. "What are you?" Eva opened her eyes. "We're just girls, but not normal girls." Lily sat up. "There's no such thing as normal. We listen," Eva added, "to the parts most people ignore." Will exhaled slowly. "Do you know what's happening to me?" They both nodded. "You're waking up." A week passed. Each morning, the twins came into his study just after sunrise. No fanfare, no ritual. They simply sat across from him, closed their eyes, and breathed. In unison, Will didn't ask questions anymore, because every day, the feeling in his legs grew stronger. A subtle ache in his calves, pressure on the soles of his feet, the sharp bite of cold air against skin that had never known sensation. His medical team was baffled. Dr. Patel called in specialists, neurologists from Johns Hopkins, spinal injury experts from Stanford. They scanned, poked, measured. The tests confirmed what we already knew. Something impossible was happening. His nerves were responding, regenerating. They called it spontaneous activation, Will told Lydia one night, pacing the edge of the sunroom in his chair, "as if that makes it more believable." "And what do you call it?" she asked. He didn't answer, because he didn't have a word for it. On the 10th morning, Eva didn't come downstairs. Will found Lily sitting alone on the rug. "She's tired," she said softly. "Tired how?" "She used too much," Lily said, folding her hands neatly in her lap. Will's pulse jumped. "You said this doesn't hurt you." "It doesn't," she replied. "But we're small. We have to rest more." He wheeled back, unsettled. "I'm not okay with that." "If this is draining you, we're not afraid of tired," Lily interrupted. "You've been tired for years. The kind that doesn't go away." Will stared at her. "That's not the same." "No," she agreed. "Yours is worse." That afternoon, Rebecca, Will's lawyer and longtime family advisor, cornered him in the kitchen. "You're really considering adopting them?" He glanced over at the living room, where the twins were now curled up in matching blankets, asleep. "Yes." "You live alone. You work 16-hour days. You've never raised so much as a cat." "I know. They're strange, Will." "No." Rebecca crossed her arms. "Then why?" Will was quiet for a long moment. "They saw something in me," he said finally. "And for the first time in my life, I want to believe they're right." That night, Will dreamed that he was standing, not struggling or learning, just standing, bare feet in soft grass, the wind against his legs, and ahead of him, the twins stood at the edge of the garden, holding out their hands. When he awoke, his thighs were burning. Not pain, effort. He'd moved in his sleep. Something was happening, fast. And for the first time in his life, Will wasn't afraid of that. But he was afraid of them, of what they might be giving up to make it happen. By week 3, Will could lift both legs, not much, but more than anyone thought possible. His physical therapist, a seasoned ex-military specialist named Greg, stared at him like he was rewriting biology. "This is insane," Greg said, watching Will flex his right foot against resistance bands. "I've seen partial recoveries, but nothing from a complete lesion, ever." Will didn't respond, not because he disagreed, but because he was scared to admit how much further he thought it could go. But something else had shifted. The twins no longer looked invincible. Their laughter was quieter, their voices slower. Eva especially moved like her bones were heavier than they'd been the day before. Will noticed it that morning, when she forgot the name of the garden statue she'd named herself a week ago. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Just sleepy." "But He saw the slight tremble in her fingers as she reached for the glass of orange juice. Later that night, he pulled Lily aside. "You're not telling me everything," he said quietly. She looked down at her shoes. "Our mummy used to get tired, too, after helping people. Tired how her body gave more than it could keep. Sometimes it came back, sometimes ... not all of it." Will knelt, really knelt beside her, the movement slow, unfamiliar, but possible. "Is that what's happening to you?" Lily didn't answer, which was answer enough. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat by the window in the guest wing, watching the sky flicker with spring lightning. The mansion was silent but not still. He could feel it breathing now. The walls, the floors, the very air humming with presence. The twins had called it listening. He was listening now, and the truth was unbearable. He was healing at their expense. The next morning, he made a decision. "No more sessions," he said firmly, standing at the breakfast table, using only one arm for balance on the counter. Eva blinked. "What? You're getting weaker. I can see it. Whatever this is, ... I won't let it cost you." "But you're almost there," Lily protested. "Your nerves are awake. You'll walk soon." "I'll wait," he said. "I'll take another 10 years if I have to. I won't risk you for it." The girl stared at him, then slowly, Eva's eyes filled with tears. "You're choosing us," she whispered. Will nodded. "Every time," and with that, the buzzing silence between them broke. Not with energy. But with love. Real, unselfish, human love, and for Will. That was the greatest miracle of all. The call from the Department of Child Services came 2 days later. Not a warning, a courtesy check-in. Will hung up without commenting and stared out at the mist curling over the cliffs outside his study window. He'd been expecting this. Miracles didn't go unnoticed. And his wasn't a miracle anymore. It was a headline, waiting to happen. In the guest wing, the twins were chasing each other in socked feet. Laughter echoing down the marble hallway. Their color had returned, their energy rebounding after a full week without sessions. He should have been relieved, but the price had only changed, not disappeared, at the agency. Nora Lennox wasn't surprised when Will requested adoption papers. "I thought you might," she said, sliding a stack of documents across the desk. "They've asked about you every day. They belong here. Do you?" she asked quietly. Will met her eyes. "I didn't, for a long time. But now, I don't know who I am without them." She hesitated. "You're aware this adoption will raise scrutiny. I've got lawyers, and headlines. I've got security." She folded her hands. "And what if they ask about how you're healing?" Will looked away. "Then I'll tell them it's nobody's business." Back at the house, the twins sat in the sunroom, sketching with new colored pencils. Rebecca hovered in the doorway, arms crossed. "They're drawing your garden again," she said. Will raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess, in full bloom even though it's not spring." "Try midsummer," Rebecca said. "And you're standing in it." He chuckled softly. "I told them I'm not ready for that. They said you will be." Rebecca watched him for a moment, then softened. "You know this doesn't make sense, right? The scans, the doctors, the recovery, it all breaks the rules. I built a billion-dollar company because I stopped believing in rules," Will said. "Why start now?" But the world had been watching quietly, and now it began to knock. The first article appeared online under a clickbait headline: "Tech billionaire miraculously recovering after adopting psychic orphans." Will didn't answer calls. Lydia shut down interview requests. Rebecca reinforced non-disclosure agreements with his staff and doctors. Still, rumors spread, and worse, someone had sent a photo of the girls. Paparazzi started camping at the gate. One night, as Will wheeled down the hallway, he passed the girls' room. The door was open. They sat on their beds, whispering to each other like always. He stepped in. "They're going to come. Reporters, investigators." Eva looked up. "We know. Are you scared?" Lily shook her head. "Only if you are." Will sat down beside them, his muscles now strong enough to support most of his weight for short periods. "I won't let anyone hurt you." "You already protected us," Eva said. "Now we protect you," Lily added. Will looked between them. "From what?" They exchanged a glance, then said softly, in unison, "From yourself." The courtroom was smaller than Will expected. No chandeliers, no oak panels, just fluorescent lights, grey walls, and the quiet rustle of papers. A room made for bureaucracy, not transformation. The twins sat beside him, legs swinging gently above the floor, dressed in matching blue dresses Lydia had picked out. Simple, but perfect. Will was in his chair, but he sat taller now, the subtle strength in his spine growing by the day. Rebecca stood beside him, calm but alert. Across the room, Judge Alina Harmon read through a slim folder, lips pursed in thought. "Mr. Alcott," she began without looking up, "you're aware this adoption request has raised ... questions. Unusual medical developments, media attention, the fact that you're single, disabled, and have never fostered a child before." Will didn't flinch. "Yes." Judge Harmon finally looked at him, then explained to me why these girls. Will turned slightly to glance at Eva and Lily. They didn't speak, didn't squirm, just watched him with the calm of people who already knew the outcome. "I've spent most of my life alone," he said. "I built a company, I built a life, but it never felt like mine. Then I met these girls, and for the first time, I felt ... seen, not pitied, not managed, seen." A pause. "They didn't care about the chair, or the money. They saw a version of me I didn't think existed anymore." Judge Harmon was silent. Rebecca added gently, "They've thrived under his care. No incidents, no regression. Academically and emotionally, they're ahead of peers. Every report supports stability." The judge shifted to Nora Lennox. Director. Nora stood. "I've worked with children for 23 years. I've rarely seen a bond form this quickly and this deeply." Judge Harmon considered that, then turned back to the girls. "Eva, Lily, do you want Mr. Alcott to adopt you?" The girls nodded, then said in unison, "He's already our father." A ripple of something passed through the courtroom. Will closed his eyes briefly. Outside, cameras waited. Rebecca tried to shield the girls as they left the courthouse, but one reporter shouted, "Mr. Alcott, is it true your legs are healing because of the twins?" Another, "Are they performing some kind of ritual? Psychic healing?" Will kept walking. One of the girls turned. "We're not magic," Eva said calmly. "We just listen better than most," and that was all she said. That night, the paperwork was filed. Eva and Lily Bell were now Eva and Lily Alcott. Will sat with them by the fireplace, one arm around each shoulder, their drawings of his garden taped to the wall behind them. "You know, this means you're stuck with me, right?" he said. "We were always meant to be here," Lily replied. Eva looked up. "Now you just believe it too." Spring bloomed across the cliffs above Puget Sound, and for the first time in years, Will noticed it, not just through glass, but in it. In the wind brushing his face on the garden path, the smell of wet soil, the distant cries of gulls above the trees. The chair was still with him, but more often now, it waited. He walked the garden each morning with a walker, feet heavy but responsive, thighs trembling with effort. He could only manage a few dozen steps, but each one felt like thunder inside his bones. The twins watched, from the bench near the fountain, feet swinging, eyes bright. "You're almost ready," Eva said one morning. Will paused, breath ragged. "To what?" "To remember everything," Lily said. "The part you still won't look at." He leaned against the railing. "I've remembered plenty." "No," Eva said gently. "You've remembered pain, survival. We're talking about before that." Will frowned. "Before what?" "Before the world told you what you weren't." That evening, the garden path was lined with soft light. Rebecca and Lydia watched from the patio as Will pushed himself farther than usual, 5 steps past the point where Greg, his therapist, would normally stop him. But Greg wasn't there. Will had sent him home early. He needed to try something alone. Halfway down the path, his legs locked, muscles spasmed, his body trembled with effort. He looked up. The twins were waiting, not at the end of the path but beside him. They hadn't walked. They were just there. Eva held out her hand. "You don't need to fear it anymore." Lily added, "Let your body be part of you again." Will's jaw clenched. His hands tightened on the walker. Then he let go. 1 second, 2. His knees buckled, then steadied. Another step. No hands, no wheels. Just him. Will Alcott walked. He collapsed onto the nearest bench, lungs burning, vision swimming. The girls sat beside him without a word. Tears rolled down his cheeks. "Was it you?" he asked. "No," Eva said. "It was always you," Lily whispered. Back inside. The house was quiet. Dr. Patel's new scans showed what everyone already knew: nerve reactivation, full lower limb response, muscle regrowth. No medical explanation, no theory that held. Rebecca asked the question first. "Are they doing something to you?" Will shook his head. They're not changing me. They're uncovering me. She stared at him. That's not science. No, he said softly. It's something older. For a while, everything looked perfect. Will walked every day now, slowly, carefully, but without assistance. The chair gathered dust in the corner of his study. The mansion felt alive with movement again. Footsteps, laughter, music, and the small chaos of childhood. The girls had become daughters in every way that mattered. They called him Dad without hesitation, but Will could tell something was wrong. Eva had begun sleeping longer. Lily didn't finish her meals. Their vibrant energy, the fire that lit up every room, had dulled to a flicker. They smiled, but it didn't reach their eyes, and they never talked about the sessions anymore. One night, Will found them sitting at the edge of the garden just past midnight, wrapped in blankets, facing the sea. Their backs were straight, hands joined, as if listening to something distant. He approached slowly. Girls, they turned, neither startled. We knew you'd come, Eva said softly. You're still hiding something, Will said. His voice wasn't angry, just ... tired. Lily looked down. Our mummy used to help people, Eva began, before she died. She gave too much, Lily whispered. Will's stomach dropped. She said healing was a river. You can guide it, but if you dam it too hard, it spills into you. Because your heart changed, Lily replied. And when that happens, your body listens to... Will dropped to his knees in front of them, something he could now do without pain. I'd rather live in this chair the rest of my life than lose either of you. Do you understand me? Their faces didn't flinch, but their hands trembled slightly between the folds of their blankets. It's not that simple, Eva said. Why not? Because we chose you, Lily said. Will frowned. What do you mean? Eva looked into his eyes. Before we ever met you, we saw you. In dreams. Mummy showed us. You were alone. Lily whispered, hurting, waiting for someone to believe again. Will felt a deep chill move through him. Why me? Because you were the only one who could choose love over healing, they said together. And you did. The next morning, Will made a decision. He cancelled every appointment, called off the therapist, ignored emails from reporters, scientists, even Rebecca. The world could wait, because if the girls were right, if they were still somehow giving, even after the sessions had stopped, he had to end it. Now, he sat them down in the sunroom, the same place where this journey had begun. No more energy, no more waking me up, no more whatever this is. I need you both to be safe. We are, Lily said. You're not, Will snapped. Eva, you nearly collapsed yesterday. You've both lost weight. You look pale. Eva opened her mouth, but he raised a hand. Don't lie to me, please. The girls looked at each other. Then Eva said quietly, we tried to stop too. Will's heart pounded. Tried. It's not just us anymore, Lily whispered. It's you. What do you mean? You're connected now, Eva said. Like a river joined at both ends, Lily added. If you shut it off too fast, you'll both drown. That night, Will couldn't sit still. He paced his study, legs aching but strong. The ghost of the chair behind him. The truth settled in his chest like ice. He wasn't just healing, he was linked to them, and maybe he always had been. He thought of the dream they described, of the garden, of them calling to him, and of the way his heart had started to open the moment he looked into those amber eyes. This wasn't about legs, it never was. At dawn, he stood outside their bedroom door. They were already awake, sitting on their beds, hands folded in their laps. You said this was happening because I changed, Will said, that my heart opened. They nodded. Double quotes. What if I can do something now? Not take, but give back. Eva blinked. That's not how it works. And maybe it should be. The girls didn't speak, so Will stepped forward, dropped to his knees before them, and took one of each of their hands. Whatever this is, he whispered, share it. Let me carry part of it. If there's any way, let me. They stared at him, eyes wide, lips parted, and then, slowly, they nodded. Okay, Lily whispered, but only together, Eva added. They sat in a circle on the floor, fingers linked. Nothing dramatic happened. No pulse of light, no rush of air. But Will felt it. A gentle shift, as if something unbearable was being lifted from the twins' shoulders and placed evenly across 3 hearts, and for the first time, they looked lighter. The storm rolled in like a warning. By nightfall, wind howled against the tall windows. Thunder cracked overhead. Rain lashed the cliffs with the rage of something ancient. Inside, The mansion stood like a ship at sea, trembling but steady. Will sat with the girls in the library. The fire burned low. The lights flickered. "You feel it?" Eva asked. Will nodded. "Something's coming." Lily turned to the window. "It's been building for a long time." Just after midnight, the power went out. The silence was sharp, sudden. Emergency lights kicked in, soft and red. The security system buzzed faintly. Lydia and Rebecca gathered candles. No one dared voice what they all felt. Something deeper than weather was pressing in. Will checked the girls asleep side by side, curled beneath a shared blanket in his room. Peaceful, for once, until Ava's breath hitched. Then Lily's fingers twitched. Then both girls sat bolt upright, eyes wide, backs straight. Will rushed to their side. "What is it?" "The current," Eva whispered. "It's breaking." "You share too much," Lily gasped. "We're slipping." Will felt a wave of cold pass through his chest. Not fear, severance. Something inside him buckled. His legs, he staggered back. No, 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 he fell to his knees. Pain burst through his spine. Numbness surged like floodwater, but worse, the connection was fading. "Stop," he cried. "You said we had to stay balanced." Eva looked at him through tears. "You're tipping." Lily reached out weakly. "You gave too fast." The firelight flickered violently. Will crawled toward them, legs barely dragging. "I won't lose you." The girl's eyes glazed, shoulders shaking. He grabbed both their hands and screamed, not in pain, in defiance. He refused to let go. Outside, lightning struck the cliff. A tree splintered in the garden. Wind shattered a panel of glass in the hallway. Alarms screamed. Water poured in. Inside the circle of his arms. The twins gasped for air, and then stilled, not lifeless, but weightless. Their skin flushed again, their breath evened, their heads fell softly against his chest, and in the center of the chaos, Will stood, legs trembling. Unaided. Whole. Later, Lydia would ask what happened. Rebecca would try to reconstruct it. Doctors would demand tests, but all Will said was this: "I stood because I chose them." Morning broke in silence. The mansion bore scars from the night, a cracked window, soaked hallways, a scorched circuit panel near the basement door. But none of it mattered, because Will Alcott was standing at the kitchen counter, barefoot, pouring coffee with steady hands and no support. Lydia walked in and froze. "You're not." "I am." "No walker, no chair," he added softly. She pressed a hand over her mouth. The girls padded into the room moments later. Fresh clothes, sleep-heavy eyes, but radiant, like something had been burned away from them, and they were lighter for it. Eva climbed onto a stool. "It didn't fall. You stood through the current," Lily added. Will looked at them with quiet awe. "How did you know I could?" "We saw you," Eva said. "In the dream," Lily echoed. "A long time ago." Later that day, Will walked the garden path, alone, no aides, no therapist, no audience, just the sound of gravel under his feet, and the wind in his hair. He reached the old iron bench beneath the cedar tree where the girls had first waited for him. They were there again, but this time, he was the one who came to sit beside them. "I remember something," he said. The girls looked up. "When I was young, maybe 5 or 6, before I understood what my condition really meant, I used to dream I was flying, not running, not walking, flying." He smiled at the memory, but every time I told someone, they'd shake their head. "No, honey, you don't walk, you don't fly, your legs don't work." And eventually, I stopped dreaming. Eva laid her head on his shoulder. "You're dreaming again now," she said. That night, Will wrote a letter. It wasn't for publication, it wasn't for the press, it was addressed to the ones still hurting. In it he wrote, "I didn't heal because of science, or money, or willpower. I healed because 2 children reminded me I had something left to give. And when you give, really give, the body follows the heart." He didn't sign it with titles. Just :dad. 5 years later, the mansion was smaller somehow, not physically. Its glass walls and high ceilings still stretched over the cliffs above the sound. But now it was full of noise, footprints, life, laughter in the garden, music from the kitchen, the smell of pancakes and lavender and wet dog, courtesy of Max, the golden retriever the twins had begged for and promptly overfed. Will Alcott stood barefoot at the stove, flipping pancakes with a cracked spatula. He wore a threadbare hoodie and a smile he didn't know he'd kept all these years. "Dad," Eva said from the hallway, brushing tangled curls out of her eyes. "We're going to be late." I'm flipping as fast as I can, he replied. Lily strolled in behind her, already dressed, notebook tucked under her arm. Your definition of fast is ... not fast. Age earns me slowness, he grinned. Also wisdom. Still no syrup, Eva muttered, checking the fridge. I told you, Will said. If you keep drinking it straight from the bottle like juice, I'm not buying more. The dining table was cluttered with books, homework, half-assembled robotics projects, and one corner reserved for puzzles, always half done, always in progress. Will sat between his daughters, pouring orange juice, correcting equations, sneaking spoonfuls of batter from the bowl like a criminal. They were 12. Now, taller, sharper, still strange in all the best ways. They rarely spoke of the early days, not because they couldn't, but because they didn't have to. The past lived with them, but never led them. That afternoon, Cliff visited the rehab center he'd built just outside the city, the River House, named by the twins. It didn't advertise miracles. It didn't promise walking. It simply welcomed anyone who'd been told you can't for too long. He taught workshops there now, not about science, not about healing, about choosing to believe something new. One day, Eva found him in the sunroom, where it had all begun. She was holding a small envelope. What's this? He asked. A letter. She said, we wrote it together. He opened it. Inside were 6 words, all in Lily's tidy handwriting. You never needed our legs, you just needed our love. Will smiled, then cried, and then laughed. A full, deep, standing laugh, because he understood. They hadn't healed him. They had reminded him he was never broken.